Now, you can always be sure it's Equity calling. When we call you, we will use only this number, 0763 000 000. Always be sure it is Equity calling.
Good evening and welcome to News Watch. It is the 24th of August 2021 and we're set with the latest stories of the day. Thank you so much for joining us on this live broadcast. I'm Tony Omondi and our sign language interpreter is Boniface Murithi. Now, history has been made in Zambia as the country witnessed the swearing in of their new president, Hakainde Hichilema, in the capital, Lusaka. President Uhuru Kenyatta was among the 10 heads of state and government at the inauguration ceremony. Hichilema, 59, was sworn in as the 7th president of the Southern African nation, alongside his vice president, Mutale Nalumango, at a ceremony held at the National Heroes Stadium by Zambia's acting Chief Justice, Michael Musonda. In his inauguration speech, President Hichilema said his administration will give equal opportunity to all Zambians and pledged to ensure all citizens enjoy their freedoms as guaranteed by the Constitution. Our reporter Dickens Livanda begins our broadcast tonight.
Zambia's newly elected leader Hakainde Hichilema has taken the oath of office after a comprehensive election victory held on August 12th, an election that has been hailed as a rare triumph over authoritarianism and a milestone in African democracy. The 59-year-old former opposition leader took oath of office on Tuesday before a crowd at the National Heroes Stadium in Lusaka, the country's capital, a ceremony that included opposition politicians from regional countries, as well as current and former African leaders. Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga and Transport Cabinet Secretary James Macharia were among leaders who attended Hichilema's inauguration ceremony, with the new president promising a new dawn in Zambia, a copper-rich nation. Kenyatta arrived in Zambia in his capacity as the chairperson of the East African Community Heads of State a day after Odinga's arrival. In his 6th bid for the presidency, Hichilema defeated the outgoing 64-year-old Edgar Lungu by almost 1 million votes, a landslide win in a country that is spurred by economic hardship and restricted freedoms under the previous regime.
I therefore declare the said Hichilema Hakainde S to be president-elect of the Republic of Zambia.
Hichilema's victory is the 17th opposition win in sub-Saharan Africa since 2015, and it occurred despite restricted campaigning and suspected rigging in favor of Lungu's party. But Lungu conceded defeat and pledged peaceful power transition. Lungu and his rival Hichilema were neck and neck in both 2016 polls and a 2015 snap election. Dickens Lovanda, Hope TV News Watch.
Just a day after President Uhuru Kenyatta challenged his deputy William Ruto to resign if he is dissatisfied with the government, the DP has hit back at the president, saying he will not retreat nor surrender. The DP, who spoke at the burial of Maho Ward MCA Ronald Magharini in Taita Taveta County, said he would continue to advocate for what he believes is the best direction for the country, including the bottom-up economic model. Grace Ongoi reports.
Deputy President William Ruto has hit out at President Uhuru Kenyatta, saying the Building Bridges Initiative Constitution Amendment Bill 2020 would have been dangerous to the country. This remark comes out as a direct response to President Uhuru's remarks yesterday in an exclusive interview with editors, where he said the decision by the Court of Appeal on 20th October 2021 was misguided and has denied Kenyans benefits that the amendment bill pushed for. According to Ruto, who spoke to a section of grassroots leaders and political leaders from Magharini County at his current residence, the BBI will have clawed back the country's democratic gains.
For me, like I said, the biggest disappointment is what Kenyans have lost and what our courts have denied them. I must make it clear, I do not agree with their ruling. You know, when they sit and they say that the IEBC is illegally constituted, the same IEBC that swore in the same court.
If there was a much more dangerous constitutional change, it is the BBI. Because it was going to roll back all the gains we had. We fought for almost 30 years against an imperial presidency. The BBI was going to install the imperial presidency in a very unprecedented way.
After his meeting in Karen, Ruto attended the burial of Maho Ward MCA Ronald Sagurani in Taita Taveta County, which had been disrupted by police officers for alleged violation of COVID-19 protocols. In his address, Ruto apologized for the disruption, terming them cheap politics that were aimed at stopping him from attending the funeral service. Ruto just recently received heat from Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i after he apologized on behalf of the government to Turkish national Aydin Harun, who was deported. According to Matiang'i, the government had nothing to apologize for.
What happened this morning is shameful. And I want to apologize on behalf of our government. Wale wanafanya matendo haya hawaelewi ya kwamba huyu Sagurani alimpigia kura rais, akanipigia kura mimi, na hii serikali imekuja kuvuruga mazishi ya huyu kiongozi. Ni serikali yeye mwenyewe aliichagua. And so it is not fair and it is not right.
While still responding to President Uhuru's remarks that he quits his job as deputy president, Ruto says that he cannot retreat until he fulfills his bottom-up agenda.
I am a man on a mission. I have no space to retreat, and I don't have the luxury to surrender. I am a man on a mission to ensure that the jobless, those who are running small businesses, the many farmers who are struggling, they too become part of our nation, and that Kenya cannot be a preserve for leaders.
Uhuru, in an exclusive interview, said that Ruto was confusing Kenyans with his tact of using government resources and at the same time castigating the government.
It's very unfortunate, yeah? But like I want to reiterate, I have an agenda that I was elected on, and that work must continue. And it would be really the honorable thing that if you are not happy with it, that you would actually, step aside and allow those who want to move on, and then take your agenda to the people, which is what happens in any normal, democracy.
Still in the coast region, Ruto attended yet another funeral service in Kinango constituency in Kwale County of Sadam Gale, mother to Kwale Governor Salim Vuria. While addressing the mourners there, Ruto hit back at those expecting him to step back, saying he was not going to do so until he uplifted ordinary citizens' lives using the bottom-up approach model. Grace Songoi for Hope TV Newswatch.
As the country grapples with hard economic times occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic, KO South Member of Parliament Daniel Bono has urged President Uhuru Kenyatta to open up the country in order to cushion Kenyans from adverse effects. Speaking while handing over a school bus to Kapleting Secondary School in his constituency in Elgeyo Marakwet, the legislator said the country's economy is on the verge of collapse and the only way to salvage the situation is by opening up the country.
Of the Ministry of Education and on behalf of the National Constituency Development Fund. The country should be opened up. I'm requesting the president of this country, open up the country. Let people just keep the rules of health, the health protocols, but let the country be opened. Let people continue running their businesses as usual, because at this rate, there will be no students in school, because affordability is a key issue in this issue.
Thousands of residents of Magharini, Kilifi County have decried price manipulation by sand transporters, calling for the revival of a collapsed cooperative society to regulate prices. The collapse of Magharini Sacco in 2000 happened as sand harvesting business was booming and community reaping good money. The residents are now calling for the intervention of the county government to ensure maximum benefit on the commodity. Dolly Mirigi tells us more.
Magharini sand harvesting in Kilifi County, once referred as the black gold of Kilifi, remains one sand harvesting quarries in the country that has since sand scoped and shipped for export and has been key in the construction of key infrastructures projects like the Mombasa Port and Lamu Port. The residents from Timboni area where sand harvesting is being done claim so far a 10-wheel truck buys sand at only 1,500 lower from 6,750 during the time the cooperative was in operation. Kingi Kalangulo, a resident and an official at Timboni Loaders Association, said the trailer used to buy sand at 17,000 Kenya shillings from the cooperative, but now the same trailer buys sand at 3,000 Kenya shillings.
Changamoto ambayo tunaipata hasa katika uvunaji wa mchanga ni kwamba bei za mchanga zimeenda chini sana, tofauti na pale nyuma tulipokuwa mchanga tunauza kupitia kwa chama. Na transporters wenyewe hawana shida. Shida ni sisi wenye tunafanya biashara, wakaaji wa Magharini. County government ilijaribu sana, lakini dakika za mwisho hatujaona mafanikio.
Sand harvesting in Magharini began in 1985 and the mineral is like gold in the area. But wrangles and static leadership has been attributed to low prices and devaluation of the commodity. It is alleged that the cooperative was doing well and was building a complex which stalled, and some of the vehicles belonging to the Magharini Cooperative Society have all stalled. Speaking at Timboni area, Kalangulo called on the county government to Kilifi to intervene and help address the problems of Magharini sand harvesting as the prices are going down daily. Kalangulo said there was a need for strict law regulating price of sand, which will ensure those who go against them faces disciplinary action as per the law.
Tunaomba sana hasa serikali ya county iweze kuingilia kati biashara ya mchanga na waone watatusaidia vipi, kwa sababu kila kukicha bei inazidi kurudi nyuma. Kila kukicha bei inazidi kurudi nyuma. Tumeshindwa hata na kuhifadhi mazingira kwa sababu pesa ya mazingira hakuna. Gari inakuja inabeba mchanga inatoa shilingi 1,500 inaenda. Fertilizer nakuja natoa shilingi 3,000 inaenda.
According to the resident, when the SACCO was in operation, they used to make over 10 million Kenya shillings per month because they're getting approximately 4,000 daily. The SACCO was helping in creating job opportunities for locals, environmental issues, insurance of bursary to locals. Currently, there's no benefit from the sand since the SACCO collapsed.
Hakuna price control, sababu kama kuna price control ingekuwa bei ni moja, sababu watu wenye mashamba ni wengi. Na ule wingi watu wenye mashamba kila mtu akiona leo amekosa gari, leo amekosa, kesho amekosa, kesho yake anaita mtu kisirisiri anavunja bei. So akivunja bei atakuwa bado ile bei bado hajaisimamisha.
Currently, reports indicate that over 40 staff of the SACCO have not been paid for months and have families depending on them. Therefore, the resident had the county government to revive the SACCO. Despite being the best mineral mine in Kilifi, residents continue languishing in poverty with wrangles emanating from SACCOs and lack of legal framework to caution sand owners and harvesters to ensure they benefit from the resource.
Kufikia saa hii hakuna kazi inafanyika, ni watu tu kufanya hiyo kazi kinatuhatia na mwelekeo. Na laomba mimi serikali ya county pamoja na wakaji wa Mbianaheri tuungane, tuangalie rasilimali yetu inaenda wapi.
And I want to challenge our Governor King. You must act boldly now. You must come up with legislative authorities and powers and motions that will help the local harness the benefit that comes from sand harvesting.
Dolly Mirigi for Hope TV Newswatch.
Let's now look at the COVID-19 situation. The Ministry of Health has announced that 1,166 people have tested positive for COVID-19 from a sample size of 9,924 tested in the last 24 hours. The positivity rate is now at 11.8%, with total confirmed infections rising to 230,794. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe, in a statement, also announced that 1,901 patients have recovered from the virus, raising the total recoveries to 215,374. At the same time, the CS announced that 36 patients have succumbed to the disease, pushing the cumulative fatalities to 4,564. In terms of admissions, a total of 2,013 patients are currently admitted in various health facilities countrywide, while 7,677 are under the home-based isolation and care program. 156 patients are in the intensive care unit, ICU. The Judiciary, through the Chief Justice Martha Koome, has announced that 50 more magistrates will be recruited in the Judiciary from September this year to help ease case backlog. The CJ, who spoke during a meeting with principal and presiding judges from the High Court on Monday, said the gap created in the High Court by the recent elevation of 10 judges will be addressed. Koome said they need a multi-door approach, like the use of alternative dispute resolution and court-annexed mediation, to offload cases from the courts. According to her, more than 5,000 cases have been resolved through mediation, which translates to a success rate of 60%, injecting 14 billion shillings into the Kenyan economy. CJ Koome, who as part of a strategy to clear the case backlog has been rooting for a no adjournment policy, previously directed that all cases be resolved within 3 years of filing and within a year in the appellate stage. According to a statement to newsrooms, 1,556 cases were resolved in the family division out of 4,519, while an additional of 2,621 new cases were filed. In the civil division, 1,869 cases were finalized over the same period out of 6,867, with an extra 1,979 new cases lodged. Right, let's now take a short break on Newswatch. Still have more coming up. Just stay with Newswatch.
Nani alisema mimi si mtoto wa Mungu? Mimi nakwambia matajiri wanakuanga wametarau watu sana. Mtos, habari ya asubuhi?
Nzuri sana.
Unajua unaongea na milionia saa hii. Mimi nimekuja tu kukuambia sifanye tena hii kazi yenyu ya nyumba. Mnaonanga ni kama mnanisaidia sana kunigreet kama slave. Awinja, fanya. Awinja, chukua awi.
Okay.
Mimi saa hii ni milionia bwana.
Kopi chai kwanza.
Chai ya nini?
Chai.
Nani anakuserve chai? Nani anakufanyia kazi? In fact hata naweza kukuandika kazi sasa hivi ukitaka. Equity wamenipikia. Wakaniambia you are the winner of 10 million Kenya shillings. Kitu tunataka tu kwako, tutumie PIN number yako, IT number yako na account number yako. Tunakufanyia nini? Tunakuwekea 10 million kwa account.
So washaweka.
Hawachaweka, sinataka kuwatumia hizo details.
Unaongea hivi vyote ni kama wameweka.
Wanaenda kuweka, kwani inachukua mtakani? Nataka tu nikitoka hapa nje hata nishaota taxi.
Wacha nione namba wamekupigia nayo.
Ndio hiyo.
Hii namba wamekupigia nayo.
Ndio hiyo.
Confirm, is this 0763 000
Sio, lakini si wamenipikia kutoka headquarter ya Equity.
Good. Kenya unafanya, you are dealing with wakora. Wao ni wakora una deal nao. Go back. Nilete chai.
Unachuache ni wakora.
The only number Equity unaweza kupigia nayo ni 0763 000 Sawa? Asante sana. Rudisha hizo vitu tafadhali. Uende sasa uwekee milioni ya ukweli chai.
Haina neno mtu.
Chai
yako ungependa hata white au black. Ungetaka nikutengeze kuku ya mayai ya kienyeji.
Tengeneza sasa ya milionea sasa. Tengeneza chai ya milionea sasa. Milionea ya ukweli.
Haina shida mtu.
Asante sana
Asante.
Okay, asante.
Wewe, nitakuwa mteni wa nani? Haki niepuka nimechiwekea haki.
And remember, Equity will only call you from one number 0763 000
Mtos.
Yes.
Kachai kako tayari.
Asante.
Now, you can always be sure it's Equity calling. When we call you, we will use only this number 0763 000 Always be sure it is Equity calling.
Welcome back to Newswatch. Locals in Makima, Mbeere South, who were evicted from their land, reportedly by Tana River and Athi River Development Authority, TARDA, have called on the National Assembly Committee on Security to look into issues of torture during the eviction. Speaking when the committee toured the area on a fact-finding mission, the locals say they've been on their land for decades now and didn't deserve the ordeal they went through. Paul Kamau, a resident of Ndunguni in Makima Ward, urged the government to give them title deeds so that they can continue living in the land peacefully.
Tunaomba serikali ituone. Tangu nisaliwa 1972 nimekuwa hapo. Nimeshika baba yangu hapo. Mama yangu alikufa njuzi wakati kulikuwa na hiyo mfurukano. Njoo hiyo mashinda tu. Ningeomba serikali ituonee huruma na itupatie kibali cha kukaa mahali tumesaliwa.
Mimi niko na watoto ambao wale nimezaa na niko na wajukuu. Usee wangu sasa. Wajukuu sasa niko karibu kuitwa tena mjukuu wa mjukuu. Kwa hivyo nimeshangaa na Taranda. Juzi wakaaja na saa hiyo watu wako kwa hiyo masoko. Hakuna mtu ambao ameambiwa kuna hii tutakuja kufomoa masoko. Sasa hiyo tingatinga zikaanza kufomoa. Sasa kuanza kufomoa hakuna mtu alitoa kitu.
After 45 years, that is when TARDA is coming back and saying, sasa hii shamba mumekaa ni yetu. Na ni shamba iko na over 900 and something households, as Mheshimiwa Keng'ang'i amesema. Ni shamba iko na mashule, ni shamba iko na mahospitali, ni shamba iko na makanisa. Where was TARDA when all these things were happening over the years of almost 45 years, that they are finding it fit to come 45 years later to evict innocent citizens from their pieces of land?
I am saying, Chair, it was a legal exercise because it was after a court process, and I think one of the presenters earlier indicated that they were parties to that court process. I have given the court case number there, 148 of 2017. which was Talda versus Joseph Mudi Mukuruta and others.
Chair, I also want to confess that to the best of my knowledge, Talda did not issue an official notice to our people. I heard the ACC speak about a baraza that we attended. Chair, without contradicting myself, and in the best of my memory, the baraza that we held with the ACC at Mbondoni Market was not related to this matter. It was related to an encroachment, a new encroachment they were talking about in an area that is not inhabited by anybody up to date.
Talda has been very, very hostile to these people. I do not understand how vile unaweza kusema watu nyumba 1,000 karibu 1,000 na mashule na market na nini yote you can wish it away kwa kupiga watu na rungu. Haiwezekani, manake tuko na sheria.
The Nyandarua Interfaith Council has raised concern over a rise in coronavirus cases among congregants in local churches. This comes a week after the African Inland Church in Magharini Township was closed after its 4 members succumbed to the disease. The council says reports have indicated that the county was registering up to 30% infection rate, which they said was alarming. This they attributed to majority of residents failing to adhere to the laid down regulations and recommendations by the Ministry of Health meant to curb the spread of the pandemic. Speaking during a series of meetings with members of the clergy from Nyandarua North Sub-County, the council wants leaders and residents to take personal responsibility to help reduce the spread of the virus. Still in Nyandarua, a 60-year-old woman trained herself at the county government headquarters today to demand payment of her delayed dues from the devolved unit. Anna Nyambura Ndugire said financial institutions were threatening to auction her property for defaulting on loans she took to carry out projects given to her by the county administration. The disturbed contractor has written a petition to the World Bank, who are the financiers of the project, the Council of Governors and Ministry of Devolution to help salvage her dwindling investments. She said her effort to have the county pay her after she completed the project had fallen on deaf ears as some county officials kept taking her in circles. The county owes her more than 75 million shillings.
County imekataa na pesa yangu milioni 139, wakanilipa 61, ikabaki 78. Sasa hii nitafanya nini? Nataka mnisaidie tu. Serikali, Uhuru nisaidie tu. Ilikuwa kazi ya kabro na kujaga barabara kilomita mingi na kazi mingi. Niko na shida, ndina thina dwetu. Gari yangu imechukuliwa na bank na niko na deni ya maroon ya bank. Niko na deni ya mabanki na gari zangu zote zimeenda.
Residents of Mwangaza area in Isiolo County have decried rising insecurity in the area, calling on the government to intervene. The residents have also decried what they called illegal eviction and demolition of houses that have left them hopeless and prone to insecurity. According to the residents, insecurity in the area stems from perennial land disputes.
Hakuna serikali ama hakuna koti Honda inasema saa 9 ya usiku watu wakuye wamomolewe manyumba. Hii manyumba ni ya mawe. Watoto wamelala. Tuko na vitu vingine kwa nyumba. Sasa wanakuya kuwa watu ama ni kumoa manyumba. Gali wanakuya usiku, pandalo wafuate waisi, wale wanaua watu, wale wanaiba watu, alafu wanakuya kuangamiza raia. Sasa tutaenda wapi?
Usika.
inawaambia iko court order hapa, tumewapea siku 14 muame hii plot. Kwa hivyo sio kuja kubomolea mtu amelala kwa nyumba unabomoa, na huyo ukiua huyo mtu utakuwa na faida gani?
Mwingine amepigwa risasi saa hii yako Shogoria. Wawili. Mmoja amevunjwa mguu, mmoja amepigwa kindini mpaka hawezi kukojoa na daktari tumecheki hivyo. Watu watatu risasi tatu. Kwa nini hii risasi itumiki kufuata ng'ombe?
Hii ni mashamba ya nyanya zetu hii. Hiyo ni usungu sana. Unakuja unapigiwa risasi ukiwa unashika mtu na unaweka kwa kaburi, huko na kilio, huko na ushungu, lakini bando serikali inakufuata inakushika. Kuna haki ya mtu kushikwa akiwa na kilio ya maiti.
Julikane huyo mwenye anadai ardhi ni yake, anadai ardhi kiasi gani. Ijulikane, watu waache kukaa kama wanapigana na ghost, kwa sababu hata kuna siku ingine wamekuja hapa wamebomoa na tujajua nani anadai hapa na anadai kiasi gani.
Wenyeji wa Mwangaza waweze kupewa hatimiliki ili shinda hii na matatizo ambayo ya kila wakati watu wanabomolewa manyumba na watu kusukuliwa kwa makaburi, hii desturi iweze kufika mwisho.
Isiolo County Governor Mohamed Kuti has assented into law 4 acts that will help county youth and women, among others, to access bursaries and funds for projects. The 4 acts, which include the Emergency Fund Act, Education Bursary Fund Act, Livestock Yard Sales Act, and the Women, Youth and PWD's Fund, were passed by the County Assembly after almost 2 years of deliberation. For the last 2 financial years, Isiolo people have reportedly not been able to benefit from bursaries or access funds due to anomalies cited by the Controller of Budget. Governor Kuti said the acts had deficiencies which the Controller of Budget advised amendments.
There has been a general concern among the community in terms of the disbursements for these various funds. We have been budgeting and eventually reallocating some of these funds, especially the youth, women, and the people with disability fund. We have always been putting about 24 million in the budget, but we have always been turned back by the Controller of Budget, and it's because of certain deficiencies in the Act. We have rectified this now, and now we have made the amendments according to the specifications made by the Controller of Budget, and now we will be able to budget in the supplementary that is coming soon and be able to put bursary and these funds. The emergency fund, we had a lot of challenge to even address emergencies, fire, drought. Bursary also has been very a thorny issue. We actually went ahead to dispense the first 2 years despite the fact that there were those challenges, but the Controller of Budget actually really blocked the payments in the 3rd year, and obviously also last year, luckily, a lot of students were out of school because of COVID, but now that they are going back to school, we had to rush these amendments and make sure that they are compliant with the demands of the Controller of Budget, so that we will be able to put the supplementary, in the supplementary that is just coming shortly, that we now factor in.
Let's look at what is happening internationally. The former president of Chad, Hissène Habré, has succumbed to COVID-19 complications, according to media reports. The 79-year-old was serving a life sentence in Senegal, where he had sought refuge after his almost 10-year presidency. He had been found guilty of committing crimes against humanity by a special court which worked with the African Union to investigate the cases. Habré ruled Chad between the year 1982 and 1990, during which it's estimated that thousands of people suffered repression under his regime. And Uganda has appealed to developed countries to release more vaccines to the developing nations, even as it continued to inoculate its population. The government has warned that if left without vaccines, new variants of the disease could emerge from developed countries and affect the world. The world has been battling the Delta variant, which originated in India, causing fatalities and infections. Uganda has so far received 2 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine and 300,000 China-developed Sinovac, a shot against a targeted population of 22 million people. All right, News Watch takes another short break. Business and sports news is coming up next.
This week on Turning Point.
I've been preaching now for 50-some years. And one of the things that I've observed as a preacher is I preach the gospel and people get saved. And I realized when they get saved, it had nothing to do with what I said. They just came to church and God called them and I got up and told them what to do. They came down here and we talked to them and prayed with them and they acknowledged Jesus Christ. What we need to understand, men, is this: the preacher doesn't cause people to come to Christ. The preacher announces the gospel, invites people to come to Christ, but it is God working in them that is the one who brings them to salvation. And that's the joy that I have, because I show up here every Sunday. I don't know who's out here that God's working in. He might be working in you today. You showed up and wondered, what am I doing here? Well, God's working in you. You showed up and I'm just making the announcements. Come to Jesus and He'll change your life.
That's this week on Turning Point by Dr. David Jeremiah.
What's the 9,000 doing? I can't believe my eyes! Team Platypus!
Yes! I knew they could do it! But how? Get ready for a super surprise this coming Sunday with all new super episodes.
Who will join me?
They're delivering bread and meat to Elijah. All new super adventures, all new super season.
I'm Chris. I'm Joy, and this is Gizmo. You should come with me.
Let's have fun while learning from Chris, Joy, and Gizmo.
What are you doing?
All new Superbook Season 4 exclusive to Hope TV, where you look and live.
Welcome back. Kenya is looking to attract international luxury travelers as part of a strategy to revive the tourism sector and as part of expanding the tourism market basket. The absence of international tourists, coupled with travel restrictions occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic, has resulted in reduced travel globally. The government has now set eyes on luxury travelers as it seeks to continue the recovery path of the tourism sector through targeted marketing strategies in several markets. Speaking from the Masai Mara as he welcomed tourists aboard the inaugural Royal Africa and Emirates Executive Private Jet Safari, a world-class conservation safari, Tourism Cabinet Secretary Najib Balala said the destination is proving to be attractive to luxury travelers, especially with Kenya having unique travel opportunities and new developments in the country.
We welcome Royal Africa to Kenya. This is not the first time, but again, we appreciate that it's a high-end luxury safari company, and Kenya has what it takes to share the experience of luxury and also the authentic African safari. So we have the facilities in Kenya across the country, not only in Masai Mara but the northern part as well as in the coastal region. So we want to welcome Royal Africa and all their guests, because this is an opportunity that you have privately organized luxury safari into Africa, especially during this difficult time. because we are open, Kenya, we are safe, we have all the COVID protocols in place, and all our clients in these luxury areas are all vaccinated. Well, last year was a lesson that this pandemic has affected us. We thought in 3 months' time the country and the world will open, but we realized we have to live with it. There's life within COVID, and also the new norm. The new norm is, yes, we must be wearing masks, we must wash our hands, but also we must sanitize. At the same time, now it's vaccination. So yes, Kenya has started the vaccination program. The world has moved forward as well with vaccination. Double vaccinations are welcomed. Also a PCR test is very important because between flights. So yes, we are open for business and we welcome visitors across the world. And I want to assure you that Kenya has the African safari experience that is here, and we want to welcome the visitors during this high season of Kenya, which is the Great Wildebeest Migration.
This is the first of its kind in the world. It's also the inaugural trip for the Emirates private jet to come to some of these countries. He's never had been to Zimbabwe and never had been to Botswana. Obviously, there are lots of flights from Dubai into Nairobi on Emirates, so that's more common. It's on an A319. Absolutely beautiful private jet, the only one of its kind in the world. It has 10 first-class cabins where the passengers are, and then there is a beautiful lounge area, a bar area, and 2 spa bathrooms on board. So we're traveling in the utmost luxury, hoping to really elevate the luxury travel industry and do many more of these kinds of trips.
Now, formality in the business sector is becoming a challenge due to high taxes, insufficient COVID-19 vaccines, and less support of local products. This, according to Kenya Association of Manufacturers, is making many local small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, to operate as informal businesses. High taxes have been cited as one of the biggest business setbacks that add to the cost of doing business, affecting the cost of products and eventually affecting the cost of living. Valma Moresa tells us more.
SMEs are known to be the backbone of every economy, and as Kenya experiences a hitch in the business sphere, a multitude of the people now hope that the government will ease curfew restrictions to pave way for the economy to thrive. Many small and medium-sized enterprises are facing the biggest milestone of being burdened with high taxation rate, less income generation, and insufficient COVID-19 vaccines distribution. Making his remarks at a press briefing, SMEs Alliance of Kenya CEO Samuel Karanja said tax rates are becoming complex and punitive, making it the reason why many are experiencing high cost of living in Kenya. He noted that many entrepreneurs are experiencing the challenge of having to obtain multiple licenses, creating an extra license processing cost, and asked the government to look into the matter.
We know that the cost of living is going up. People are struggling more and more, and that is partly due to reducing incomes, whether it's relative incomes are not rising as much, but also the cost of different aspects that are going through this, especially the pandemic times. We have, of course, costs that have been increased because of global factors. Today, as we speak, one of our big challenges has been in input supply. A lot of input prices are rising. They are rising globally, so it's not things that you can necessarily control. Things like palm oil, people have noted cooking oil prices going up, but this is issues coming out of Indonesia and Malaysia where palm oil is grown. Freight cost, the cost of moving goods has more than tripled. If you look at what it takes to move a container from China to Nairobi or to Kenya or anywhere else in the world, those costs are going up, and so those will impact the general cost of doing business.
On the other hand, the Institute of Economic Affairs CEO Kwame Owino urged the government to accelerate vaccination provision, saying business persons are frontline workers. This is to bring back to life a fair cost of living through allowing vaccinated business persons to continue with operations. He advised the government of Kenya to desist from heavy taxation to sustain SMEs.
One of the things that economic theory tells you, and the history again, is that tax collections that are efficient meet two things, two qualities. One, they are modest. So when you have a country of this kind where taxes are going above 30% of what a business operations are, that cannot be a modest tax. And second, they are stable. They do two things. They give the business person, the working person, an opportunity to plan reasonably by saying, over the next 5 years, if I make this investment, or if I do these savings, or if I make these savings, this is what to expect. By no measure in Kenya would you say today that the taxes are reasonable, and by no measure would you say they're modest. So these are taxes which have a disruptive effect on workers, on investors, and just generally on the business environment. That's not positive. It's something that Parliament needs to fix.
Owino said the inflation in SMEs has become constant, orchestrating less growth of the sector. He stated the need for SMEs to flourish with original product, calling on the government to give a helping hand in promotion of local market.
If manufacturing does not grow, if jobs in manufacturing don't get better, if manufacturing competitiveness does not happen, Kenya will remain a stunted nation. That's a sad thing to state, but it's true. We are not the first ones to whom it has happened, but the history suggests that there's no shortcut out of this. There's no trapdoor that will lead us. So that's why I make these comments on that basis. So on the state of the economy, I think the last few years have had decent growth rates, about 5%. So the average in our calculation with my colleague is about 5.3% over the last 6, 7, 8 years. And that looks decent, except that manufacturing is not keeping pace in the sense of as a share of total gross domestic product.
For Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Velma Muresa.
Approximately 65,000 tons of fertilizer imported by the Kenya Tea Development Agency Management Services Limited, KTDA-MS, for smallholder farmers in the country has arrived at the port of Mombasa awaiting packaging and distribution. The supply of this year's fertilizer follows the floating of a competitive international tender early in the year. A local tender supply, an additional 21,000 tons of fertilizer has been issued to satisfy the unmet demand of the commodity. The cost of fertilizer has been negatively impacted by the rising cost of natural gas, unfavorable exchange rates, global supply constraints, high crude oil costs, and the cost of shipment, among other factors. Last year, KTDA did not procure fertilizer for smallholder farmers as a result of logistical challenges presented by the then emerging COVID-19 pandemic. And to some sports news now, FC Talanta will play in the Football Kenya Federation Premier League next season. Talanta were crowned National Super League champions with 2 matches to spare after edging out relegation bound by Soy United 2-1 in Nairobi. Sebi Mohamed's double sealed Talanta's rise to the top flight league as coach Ken Kenyatta is set to return in the Premier League next season. Fortune Sacco, who are second on log of the second-tier league, can only reach 65 points and finish second if they win their remaining matches. The race for the third-place playoff spot is, however, still on, with Kisumu All-Stars, Kibra Black Stars and Kenya Police and Vihiga Bullets still in the mix. Mount Kenya United beat Kibra Black Stars 2-1 in Betika National Super League match played yesterday at Camp Toyoyo ground. Kasi Odhiambo converted the penalty for United in the 18th minute as Marta Eric made it 2-0 before halftime. Kibra Black Stars' lone goal was also scored through a penalty by Onduso Peter in 73rd minute.
Kicha kwanza naweza sema hii ligi imekuwa competitive na nashukuru sana at least Talanta kwanza wameingia Premier League. Naweza sema imekuwa ngumu kwa sababu pia walikuwa tumecheza nao walikuwa wanataka pia ende kwa ile playoff. And at the same time sisi tunataka tushinde hizi points 3 tupate at least tuwe kwa position nzuri. Nafikiria strategy yao imewaka hiyo long ball na kujaribu kutupiga ile pressure hiyo second half na imewaka pande yao, lakini hiyo penalty pia imepatikana ni 50-50. Mimi naona ni kama ikuwa penalty lakini nashukuru sana at least tumepata hizo 3 points. Sasa tuna mechi 3 zimebaki na pray tu vile matokeo imetoka labda kwa hizo mechi zingine labda itakuwa at least tumebaki sasa.
Too late because one got an injury for the first minute, one of my center backs. So my boys will come waka freeze at that moment. So before we go into back out our concentration, opponent akapata another goal, then he conceded another easy goals again. So when you concede 2 easy goals in the first half, it becomes difficult for the team to come back. But I'm grateful that in the second half we tried to change the tactics. We got the chances, now we did not convert our chances. Now that makes the difference in football. Yeah. It complicates my matrix because now if we would have gotten a win today, it would have been a boost to our team. But according to the calculation right now, I don't think we are going to make it in the playoffs. So it's just to urge the boys to continue playing, and they have to show character because this is a different ball game. Yeah, because we are getting the chances and not scoring the chances, making simple mistakes, conceding for simple mistakes. So hopefully we are going to learn from there and start a new beginning. The boys, they have done their best so far. As I earlier said, we were a team that was struggling to survive in the league. Now there's a big difference from a team that was struggling to survive to the league to a team that's aiming for contention or promotion. So it's a big improvement. So I think if we can start from there, it will be good for Kibera Black Stars because now they are not taken as pushovers. They are no longer pushovers. We congratulate Talanta. Talanta, Kenyatta did a very good recruitment because even his third team is not even in the first team because he had all experienced players. So that's the big difference because it's moments brings in experience. What experience brings in, there are games that are won by an individual brilliance. So sometimes in our team we lacked that because majority of these boys, some are coming from school, some are first timers in the National League. So I congratulate Kenyatta for promotion. Hopefully he's going to maintain the boys. Then we'll see what will happen.
The stage is set for the Kenya Cup semi-finals with 2 fixtures on the cards this Saturday. Kabra Sugar, top of the log at the close of the league phase, will be at home to 4th-placed Strathmore Leos at the Nandi Bears Club in Nandi County. The second semi-final will see defending champions KCB, who was second at the close of the league phase, taking on 3rd-placed Menengai Oilers at the KCB Sports Club in Ruaraka, with both matches kicking off at 2 p.m. The winners of the semi-final fixtures will clash in the final on Saturday, 4th September 2021. And West Ham made it 2 wins out of their 2 opening Premier League fixtures as they beat Leicester City 4-1 in London. The visitors did themselves no favours as they kept shooting themselves in the foot, and rampant Hammers took full advantage, with Michael Antonio scoring a couple of late goals to seal the Foxes' fate. The Hammers showed their lethal touch midway through the first half as they turned a misplaced Leicester pass into a goal-scoring chance of their own. A quick counter-attack saw Said Benrahma square the ball from the left-hand side of the area for Pablo Funnels to expertly steer into the far corner and make it 1-0 to the delight of over 60,000 people at London Stadium. Right, that's where we end it for tonight on Newswatch. Many thanks for staying with us. Till next time, God bless. I'm Tony Monian, our sign language interpreter, has been Born First Murithi. I leave you with the weather forecast.